So this is lesson 2, simple visualizations with lenses in the classic method within our Kibana 8 training. The link to this GitHub repository is in with the description. So what are we going to be doing? So the objectives here to load some data into Elasticsearch through Kibana. So 80 documents of the world's tallest towers that we've got from Wikipedia. Create some visualizations directly from the Discovery tab using lenses. Manually create some visualization using lenses, and then also create some visualizations using the classic method. So classic method basically involves a structured approach where you need to specify the index and the chart type. Lenses let you change the chart type and the index at any time you like. So it's really much more flexible, and really it's the way forward from Elasticsearch perspective. So the steps are, we're going to download the dataset, world's tallest towers, which is a new line delimited JSON file, which you can get from this repo. Log into Kibana, upload the file into Kibana, and then it will save it into Elasticsearch. We will specify a mapping that we've defined here. So this mapping, this is basically how Elasticsearch, it's like your schema definition for an Oracle database, for example. So we've got a field called building name, and we index that as a text field, so it supports free text searching, but we also index it as a keyword field, which allows us to do aggregations on that string of text. So for example, country code, which is just a 2-letter code, we index that as a keyword only because we don't need free text searching on that like we would a building name. So we can look at that in a little bit more detail, but yeah, let's just save this mapping here in our clipboard so we can use it later. So yeah, once we've specified the mapping and then push the data into Elasticsearch, we'll make a data view within Kibana, which is basically how Kibana looks at the data in Elasticsearch, and then we can format some fields so they display a certain way within Kibana, and then we'll create some different types of visualizations using lenses, and then we'll flip around and do some of those manually with the basically create visualization process. So yeah, let's get into it. So that's, again, all available on the GitHub page linked below, so you can run through that at your leisure. So this is our Kibana instance. We've set that up as a local instance. You can set one up in the cloud, and if you're new to Elasticsearch and Elastic Stack, that's probably going to be the easiest. This is the Kibana, so this is the front-end component. When you first log in, this is your home screen, so welcome to the home. And we're going to upload our file. We specify the world tallest towers, new line delimited JSON file that is from the GitHub repo. Gets loaded up, says, yep, I've analyzed 80 lines. This is the statistics about that information that you want to load. Hit import, say how you want to save it. I want to save it into an index called towers. I don't want Kibana to automatically create a data view for me. I want to do that manually so you can see how that works. And if you click on this advanced tab, this is where we specify, this is the default mapping that's been created, that schema for the data in Elasticsearch, and we paste in the schema that we've got from the GitHub page, which is those free text searches, keywords, those kinds of things that we spoke about earlier, and then we hit import. So that's going and pushing that data into Elasticsearch. Yeah, we can see that those 80 documents have been loaded as expected, which is great. Now we can go to our data view management. And we'll say, yep, you haven't got any data views. Let's create one. Yep, let's do that. So I create a data view called towers, and I specify year built as the timestamp field. That's how the data will be sort of default sorted and displayed. So I say, yep, create that data view for me, please. And then here we can see how those fields, I guess the characteristics of those fields in the Kibana configuration for the Elasticsearch instance or Elasticsearch index. And so particularly we want to look at this year built, and we want to work out how to display that. So we want to set our own format, and we say it's a date, but we want it displayed like this, which is good. So we hit save. So now if we head back to our Discover tab in the analysis section, we should now see our towers index. So it says in the last 15 minutes, there's no towers being created, which is sort of aligned to our expectations. Let's change that to the last 50 years ago. We'll do update, and we'll see that there's a lot. you'll see that this is the documents view of the data. So we can do nice free text searches, which is what we love about Elasticsearch. So we can see some highlighting here, which is great. So Hong Kong is 4 towers. If we search for CN, which is the Chinese country code, we'll see the towers there. So if we search for US, we'll see the US ones. So this is the top 80 tallest towers in the world at the time of producing this. So by default, it has the year built field, which is that field that we specified as the time field in one column, and then the rest of the document. We can obviously add particular columns to the display, and then there's lots of cool things. So you can change sorting, that kind of thing, and you can also move columns to the left and right. And you can also do that here as well, which I quite like. So you can just move them down to there. That'll move them over. So that's sort of Discover tab. If we hit Field Statistics, and we get back to all that. Now that's there the fields that we've selected. So you can select some more. You'll see that there's a distribution that's created here. So 5% of the documents have been analysed, or 5% of the documents between those groups. But yeah, the interesting part is that you can go over here and go, look, years built. I want to hit this action. So it says Exploring Lenses. And it takes me over to Lenses and gives me a default visualization, which is a line graph, which is nice, but not exactly what we want, or not that sort of great. So that's looking a bit better. So we can see it's the count of buildings within that particular year. So the first one was in 1970, and there's obviously been more recently, and the most recent year was 2018. We can now drop in building name to break it down by building name. By default, it does a terms aggregation with the top 3, but we want the top 80. That will then give us one record for each of the buildings. So that's sort of interesting visualization. You can then go here and then sort of hide that the legend, so it's a little bit sort of cleaner. So that's sort of an interesting kind of chart. But let's look at something slightly different. So we'll take those top 80 away, and then top 80 away. And then we'll drag the country name, which I think we have. Yep. Again, it gives us the top 3 values. But rather than top 3, let's go for top 80. And you'll see that that's quite interesting, yeah. So the US and China in that one year. So in the more recent years, it's actually US and China. Dubai, not that much. Is that right? Doesn't seem right to me. Count of records, year built, top 80, country name. Yep, so it must be China. Let's look at that a little bit differently. So we'll pick a pie chart. So go for donut. Okay, there you go. So China, Arab Emirates, United States. Yeah, so that looks about right. Oh, that was Saudi Arabia I was looking at before. But yeah, so you can see how we was able to quickly jump between different visualizations. How nice is that? Just quickly jump between. And if we sort of jump in the city, as an additional group by, you can see, yeah, sort of China other, but you've got the Hong Kong, Gaoju, those kinds of things, the New York and Chicago, yeah, all the different breakdown, which I think is really cool. But again, it's top 3. So let's go top 50. That's sort of more aligned to our expectations, isn't it? So mostly in Dubai, but there's some in Abu Dhabi. Yeah, so that's lenses created directly from the Discover tab. Alternatively, we can just go straight over here and go to Visualization Library. We discard our current work. We haven't got any visualizers created yet, so we just go to Create New Visualization. If we go to Lenses, so we've pick an index, pick a type of chart that we like. So whatever whatever you prefer, and we can then start dragging things across as we were doing earlier. So make countries better there, or even country code. So median floor. So I want to do max floor. And of course the percentage, we just want horizontal. There you go. So which ones have the highest floors? So I think I'm going to have to get a country name because I don't know the... there you go. Yeah, so it's United Arab Emirates, and then China, South Korea, which have the top 3 largest towers. So again, so that's lenses created manually. And if we go here, visualization library, discard the current work, create visualization, and then we go aggregation based. This is where we can do very similar kinds of things, but this is how, see, we select the chart type, then we select the index, and then we go through and pick the different types of x-axis. So we can do a date histogram, and we can say year built, and then go update, and we get similar types of charts. So they're a little bit different. Yeah, I think lenses is a lot more flexible, but yeah, sometimes you may want to get this type of chart and then make some changes. I think lenses is getting better and better. But yeah, so that was the summary of this lesson. So we've looked at creating some visualizations within Kibana based off some data loaded. So yeah, end of lesson 2, on to lesson 3.